Last night on MasterChef Australia.
Hey, sausages now!
It was red versus blue, raising funds for the Konala lifesavers. And when the takings were tallied...
The red team!
Tonight...
We call it the skills race.
We're back in the kitchen for elimination.
You may call it the race of your lives.
4 different elements.
I'm in trouble.
4 different skills.
This is your chance to prove what a great cook you are.
I'm looking around.
What is that?
And I see a whole bunch of people just fretting and panicking.
Freaking me out.
When the tasting is over...
It's going to be a hard choice.
Someone will be going home.
This is my first elimination challenge from, top 50, so I've had no experience in an elimination. I am really nervous because I don't know how I'll react.
It's never fun to go into an elimination. I don't want to go home yet, but I don't rate my chances very well.
If I don't do well today, or if I come up against a challenge that I've got no idea how to do and I crash and burn, I'm going to go home.
It's my 3rd time in the team elimination, so I'm a bit down, but trying to stay positive and looking forward to get through the day.
It's an elimination challenge. When we walk into the MasterChef kitchen, we immediately see that there's 10 benches, so that means we must all be cooking.
Guys, welcome back to the MasterChef Kitchen. I'm sure you all came here with the notion in your mind that you will be Australia's next MasterChef. This is the time to stick the flag in the sand, saying, I'm here to win. Show us, prove it to us, but above all, prove it to yourself. There's been 3 team elimination rounds so far. Hayden, you've been in all 3 of them.
Yeah.
The immunity pin, you're not using it?
No, I'm quite happy to stand by these guys once again and cook against them and cook with them.
Yesterday, you pulled together as a team. Today, you come to the kitchen as rivals. If you go today, you're gone for good.
There's 10 of us. 1 of us is going home. So really, there's a 90% chance of staying in.
So what's the challenge? We call it the skills race. You may call it the race of your lives. You'll have 75 minutes. In that time, you must complete 4 basic pastry skills. Once you've completed those steps, you must use those 4 pastry items to complete a beautiful dish of your choosing.
When we're told it's pastry skills, I don't breathe a sigh of relief yet because that is so broad and it could be things that I've never cooked before.
You must complete each one of those pastry skills before you move on to the next pastry skill.
The crazy thing about this challenge is you're not allowed to multitask. I'm just really scared.
At your benches, you'll find everything you need for your first challenge. It's making sponge. This is the only element that you'll get a recipe for. In these boxes are the remaining 3. A custard, a toffee, and a ganache. As you finish each task, come up and grab the top box on that pile. The last box contains ingredients to help you finish your dessert.
75 minutes, you know, it's quite a short time span, but these elements that we're putting together are pretty simple.
Sponge, custard, toffee, and ganache. We'll be assessing each individual element of your dessert, along with how well those elements work together. Bring us the best sponge, and you'll be saved. Bring us the best custard, and you'll be saved. Bring us the best toffee, and you'll be saved. Bring us the best ganache, and you'll be saved. Bring us the best dessert that combines all those elements together, and you'll be saved. But beware. Once you've moved on from one pastry item, you cannot remake it later on if you've done these up to scratch. So be careful and take your time.
This is a huge day in the MasterChef Kitchen, a great day, an opportunity to cook beautiful food. Your time starts now.
Thank God we got the recipe for the sponge, because anything can go wrong. You can overbeat the egg whites, you can undermix the ingredients together with the flour, and you can have the oven too hot, you might not bake it long enough.
It sounds just so simple, doesn't it? Sponge, easy. It's a difficult one.
Sponge is a nightmare. It's one of those things that lightness of touch is crucial, and I think we're going to see 10 very different sponges here.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Lightness of touch, making sure that you're folding that mixture together with some elegance.
I follow the instructions on the recipe, and I put 4 egg whites into the bowl, and I'm, mixing them away, and I know what they're supposed to do, and they're just not peaking up. And so I take them out of the Mixmaster bowl and put them into a bigger bowl and start trying to whisk them by hand. And it's just not progressing. It's staying at this one point, and I know that for the amount of effort I'm putting in, that it should be changing. Everyone is going to see that I know nothing about desserts, so I'm in trouble.
Today we're off to Pepper's Salt Resort and Spa in Kingcliff for our reward lunch because we run the Konala Beach Challenge.
The red team!
This is going to be the best reward lunch ever.
It's fantastic walking in there. We really feel like we're getting a real reward.
Hi guys, welcome to Pepper's Salt Resort and Spa. My name's Ruben Bradich, I'm the Executive Chef here.
I guess the thing that is so unique about Ruben's restaurant is that he's so passionate about changing his menu every couple of months and always using fresh produce that he can find from local sources. It makes his food so amazing.
We finished a gorgeous lunch and now we're off into the kitchen with Ruben to have a masterclass.
Chef Ruben is showing us how to make the incredible entree, which was the Banglaow pork belly with the beautiful salad and mud crab.
So our mud crab's about to come out, should be just about ready.
Ruben shows us some really good techniques, especially with the mud crab. How to cook it, how to shell it, and how to get as much meat as possible out of it.
Take the lid or the head off the crab, just get your fingers underneath it and just push up. And that shell will just break open.
We're having a really great time at Seasons Restaurant, but in the back of my mind, I do know that all of the blue team are having a really rough time.
I really don't have enough time. I'm slipping behind. The egg whites for a sponge cake are just not progressing. It's staying at this one point, and I know that for the amount of effort I'm putting in, that it should be changing, and it's not changing. So into the bin with that batch of egg whites, and I get down to starting from scratch.
That's better.
This time, very quickly, they come together. It looks glossy, and I know that's what it's supposed to look like.
We got 75 minutes for this elimination challenge, and we have to do 4 pastry skills, one at a time. We've got the sponge, custard, toffee, and a ganache. Once we've done those, put them all together, and we create a dessert of our choice.
The race is on, the heat is on. Billy has already got his sponge in the oven. You've got 1 hour to go.
I get my sponge into the oven and I run down to get my next box.
Here comes Andrew.
I'm actually comforted to see that people are still working on the sponge while I'm running forward.
I've made the sponge, it's in the oven, I'm feeling quite comfortable and, you know, I feel like I know exactly what I need to do.
The second box contains all the ingredients to make a custard, and custard's another one of your basic pastry elements, and I just got to get into it.
Making a custard's quite simple. Eggs, cream, milk, it's up to you how you make it. They're all adopting a different technique.
There's no right or wrong thing to do. It's all about how that custard performs on the plate and how much we relate to it.
Custard's made from really simple ingredients, but there's a lot that can go wrong. You're effectively adding hot milk to eggs and strengthening it with starch, which is corn flour or flour. Of course, you can end up with scrambled eggs, you can end up with too much flour, so you can taste the flour, or you can not put in enough and it goes too thin. I throw in a bit more corn flour at the end and it goes really thick. I taste it and it's too corn floury, and I'm scared I've just stuffed up what should have been one of my strongest elements.
Peter, Kuma, you're the only 2 that haven't moved on to your custard. I hope that sponge is going to be perfect. Peter, how you going?
You know, I took my time with the cake.
Okay. So the sponge is in the oven?
Sponge is in the oven.
What are you
I'm
making now?
Custard now. I want to make a baked custard, so I can actually take it out and cut it up and use it as like a construction element. So it's a harder thing.
Wow. Because you're pretty much the last one to be making custard, and you want to make a baked custard.
How long do you think it'll take me? 20 minutes in the oven?
We hope so.
Yeah.
Good luck.
This is your chance to prove what a great cook you are, to show us you deserve to stay in the competition. You've got 45 minutes left.
I finished my custard and I'm still in the lead, and so I quickly run and grab my next spot and start making my toffee.
I grabbed my toffee and realised there's a few guys in front of me and there's a few guys and girls behind me. Toffee for me is something that I've followed off a recipe in the past. The last time I really made toffee was probably watching my mum, and I haven't been smart enough to commit that recipe to my memory.
So far, I'm really not happy about my sponge or my custard. Toffees, to me, are pretty easy to make. Let's face it, it's just sugar in a pot.
Most of the others are onto their toffee, but I'm still making my custard.
Kumar, are you the hare or the tortoise?
At the moment, I think I'm the tortoise.
Yeah, you happy with your custard? That's got some nice thickness to it.
It's a nice thickness. I just want it to chill in the fridge and get a little bit thicker.
Yep. But the sponge is all right?
The sponge is in the oven, just doing.
You're not fazed by the fact that lots of people have moved on to their toffee?
I'm just going on to my toffee in a minute, so as soon as I get this done.
This is the point where it can all fall apart, or this is the point where it's going to be amazing. You've got 30 minutes to go, and it's time to hustle.
I'm happy with my custard, but I decided to test my sponge. It says to bake the sponge for 10 minutes or until golden. I need to leave it in a bit longer. I'm not happy with it yet.
As I pull out my sponge, it's wobbly in the centre. I've cooked a million cakes, and yet I still look at it and go, that's heaps of time, and put it on the bench.
Sun, are you happy with that sponge?
I think so. It's been a while since I made a sponge, but
Okay.
might be slightly undercooked.
My toffee is completed, so I'm still in the lead, and I start moving forward and start making my chocolate ganache.
half an hour to go. Billy's a wizard when it comes to desserts.
Yeah, totally. But you know what, Matt? You've been given 75 minutes to produce something. Is every single element fantastic, spectacular, beautiful, or will it be let down?
But I think that's what's so fascinating about this challenge. Every single one of these 10 contestants has got a different strategy, and we're going to see some great cooking and some great desserts.
What's interesting is that Peter actually wanted to make a baked custard when I spoke to him. A baked custard? I'm thinking, are you crazy? But he's caught up.
Yeah.
He's now onto his final element, which is the ganache.
Yeah, look, and I'm worried about, you know, Hayden seems to be dropping behind. He was such a front runner first up, and I don't know. I mean, it's a concern.
The judges say we can make each element the way we want, and my toffee component's going to be a praline. This toffee looks like snow. It's sort of turned into crystals and it's just not the clear, crystal, brittle, beautiful toffee that it's meant to be. It's frankly terrible. So I decide there's no time to make another toffee. So my plan is to grab what I've got, stick it in a blender and whiz it up and sprinkle that over the top of my dessert.
I don't know, I've never in my career powdered up crystallised sugar. But you could be onto something.
Yeah, I'm going to give it a shot.
You could be onto something.
That could be my only saviour.
You know?
With the sugar.
Good luck.
I'm in real trouble here because toffee's meant to be done slowly, and I have my sugar and water on the stove, but I've got it on a high burner, which is a really big risk. I look away from it for a second, and I look back, and it's crystallised.
Sun, how you going?
I think I've just managed to crystallise my caramel. It's kind of a comedy of errors, really.
You can actually tell it's all, it's turned into crystals.
Yeah.
This is my worst moment in the competition. George is standing in front of me. My toffee has just seized. My sponge is jelly, and I know my custard tastes like corn flour. And I think I've just cooked myself into a corner. I look at the clock and I'm stunned. I've lost time in this challenge. I've stuffed up my custard. I have a really awful feeling that my sponge isn't cooked, and I've ruined my toffee. I can't use what's in my pot.
OK, so you need to make your toffee component again, and then, of course, you need to make your ganache, yeah?
Yeah. George tells me to put another pot of toffee on. Unfortunately, I don't have time. The only thing I can think of is I've got to melt sugar, and I've got to melt it now. So I grab some tin foil and I shake some sugar out onto it, and I grab a brulee torch and I melt it. So I'm thinking maybe I can put toffee shards on top and get away with it.
Sometimes forget that, you know, these are amateur cooks, you know, they're crystallising sugar, and one of them that's doing it is Sun.
She was there with a blowtorch, a bit of silver foil and some sugar, and she was kind of bruleeing it on a baking pan. Her sugar's not working. Can she make a toffee quickly and allow herself to move on to the next step? That's what it's all about. You've got to complete each stage before you move on to the next.
I've finished my sponge. I've finished my custard. To make the toffee, I've put some hazelnuts in the oven, and then I need to combine some water, sugar and glucose. So because I think the toffee has been finalised, I run up to go and get the ingredients for the ganache.
I finished my toffee, my custard and my sponge. I don't want to sound arrogant, but I make great ganaches. Ganache is actually really easy. It's chocolate, which you've melted in a double boiler, with cream and a little bit of butter. It looks great, it's beautiful and glossy, and the consistency is perfect to me. I'm really hoping my ganache gets me through.
Sponge, custard, it smells like my grandmother's kitchen in here. We're gonna get some delicious desserts. You've got 15 minutes to get them up.
I have 15 minutes left, and I'm not going to quit on this. The only problem is I've never made a ganache. So one great ganache might save it for me, but it's going to have to be a completely intuitive one.
being the lead, I'm a bit worried, actually. I'm just worried that maybe I overlooked, some ingredient.
Billy?
Yes.
Confident?
Yes and no.
That sponge, what are you expecting?
The sponge, I'm expecting to be a nice thin layer of fluffy sponge cake. Then I'm gonna, hopefully I have enough time to make a sweet Swiss roll.
Let's hope it's a good one.
I hope so.
We don't have a recipe to make the ganache. And the ingredients in the box are not a huge range, so I just go with what I know. I choose quite an easy, foolproof method. Melting your butter, boiling up your cream with it, and then throwing the chocolate in. It means you don't have to worry about with double boilers. The whole thing just melts to that and you can get it straight in the fridge.
I don't really know how to make a ganache. I know it's chocolate and it's cream, and if you put butter in, it makes it shiny. The only problem is I melt my chocolate and my butter, and then I pour cream in, and my ganache seizes as well. So it turns into some kind of hard mess.
I'm starting my ganache again.
I throw a bit more chocolate in with a bit of butter. This is not going to be the ganache that saves me.
The rules are made pretty clear to us. You're not allowed to start the next component before you've totally finished the previous one. I've noticed Cleo's got two things going at once. And I don't think she's really realised what she's doing.
I start preparing the ganache. My toffee is still on the stove.
Cleo's making two things at the one time. One of them the ganache, the other one the toffee.
It's interesting, George. We're very clear in the rules, I think, that you had to make one step at a time. You had to do your toffee, and then when you've done your toffee, you can go and pick up your box and make the ganache.
Cleo, what are you doing?
I've noticed Cleo's got two things going at once. I don't think she's really realised what she's doing.
Cleo, what are you doing?
Just doing the ganache at the moment and the toffee.
Are you allowed to do it at the same time?
I finished the components to it, so I've prepared it, and I don't need any more ingredients.
The point where you can start on the next element is the point where you either tip it into a tray or set it into a mould, not the actual cooking of it.
Oh. Okay.
Okay, so pull your ganache off and finish your toffee.
Right.
All right.
Okay.
As soon as that error was brought to my attention, I stopped doing the ganache and concentrated on the toffee.
Everyone else understood the rules except for Cleo. To make good, she's going to have to finish her toffee and make her ganache from scratch again.
This is a skills race. It's your chance now to rush for the finish line.
You got 5 minutes to go.
I've now finished with the toffee, and second time round, I can actually finish off the ganache.
I can't believe what Cleo's doing. What she should have done is finished her toffee, then start her ganache again. Instead, she's gone back to the ganache that we pulled her up on.
George, that's another breach of the rules. Everyone else has got it right. The question is, how are we going to judge Cleo?
Now I have all my 4 elements completed, so the last step is for me is to start assembling the whole dessert and plate it up. First thing I have to do is to make a cream cheese filling. So I whip up the cream, then I blend in the mascarpone with the control and some lemon zest, and that will be enough for me to spray in on the sponge cake to roll it up.
When I looked at the contents of the final box, there was liqueurs, there was berries, there was cream, there was sugar, there was lots of things, and fruit as well. But I can't decide how to combine these things with the 4 elements I've cooked.
There's only one box left on this bench over here, and that belongs to Sun.
Yeah.
All right.
Putting the dish together. Obviously, I've got my sponge, I've got the nice ring, I cut that in half, and set that aside. While that's sort of waiting, I've got my vanilla cream coming together. Then I put my custard in. And then with the crystallised toffee, I blitz that up as you would a normal praline and then sprinkle that over the top of my dessert.
I'm preparing the dish. I've got the layers of the sponge. I have all the elements that need to go in there. So I'm now just putting it all together and putting the final touches to the dish.
I'm looking around and I see a whole bunch of people just fretting and panicking, not even close to finishing.
I have to make sure I take it slow and steady when I roll up the Swiss roll. I know if I rush it, the sponge is so thin, it will break.
Sun is the only final tray that's left waiting to be collected. So she must be in a world of hurt. And I really feel for her because I think she's in serious trouble.
I know. Freaking me out.
All the boxes are gone. I hope you got all 4 elements on the plate. You've got 1 minute to go.
I've got a minute to go and my sponge isn't cooked through.
Sponge is only cooked on the outside. Love it.
I grab a little cutter and I cut out the only bits of my sponge I can use and put them on a plate, glue them together with some cornfloury creme patissiere, pour over some hard chocolate ganache and put on some toffee shards. And I just want to call this dish sad and forlorn because that's how I feel.
Well, I cut circles out of the sponge so I can make little stacks, and I just build the layers up. And to be totally honest, it looks ugly.
This is it. It comes down to this. The final 10 seconds. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Step away from your benches. Well done, guys.
Well done, guys.
Beautiful.
That's so pretty. Cleo's right behind me. She's got something that looks absolutely beautiful. Behind her is Sun, who is crying.
I'm out. People on my team are trying to make me feel better about it and give me some hope, but in reality, I don't have any hope.
You've just completed the elimination skills race. Fascinating watching you work, the different approaches you all took, and then those end results. And there are some cracking dishes out there. You've done really well. It's going to be a hard choice to decide who's done the best in each of those skills, who's put up the best composite dessert. That dessert sitting in front of you will be the decider between who stays and who goes home. George, time to start the tasting.
Waiting for the judging is nerve-wracking. George and Matt aren't just going to taste our final desserts. They're also tasting each of the 4 elements that we've prepared. Maybe I should have used my immunity pin after all.
Hayden, you happy?
Yeah, there was one little element that didn't go as, well as it could have. But
which one was that?
That was obviously the toffee.
How'd you feel if you went out on this challenge and you didn't use your immunity pin?
I suppose a lot of people would think I was a bit of an idiot.
Okay. You know how to make a good sponge, that's for sure.
A really great assembly of the 4 elements, let down by one fact. When you taste it, you taste that really sugary toffee, and it lets down a great sponge.
Thanks, guys.
I've made this raspberry custard sponge sandwich. It looks like something that you would get at nursery school.
So, Peter, slow start.
Yeah.
In the end, how's it panned out?
Ultimately, I was happy that I actually got all 4 elements up.
Are you worried maybe that presentation has let you down and it might be the reason why you go home today?
On this challenge, I would understand why I was going home.
Sticky wet sponge, ugly custard. Wow. I'm speechless.
If I do manage to get through today, the lesson for me is to stop reading Asian cookbooks and start making cakes.
Billy, you must have been stoked when you heard what the challenge was. Desserts.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy that the challenge is dessert.
Right, shall we taste them out?
Good dessert, good custard, good ganache, great look.
Sun, you look nervous.
Oh, yeah.
You going home today or are you safe?
You know, I haven't felt this close to the wire since the top 50.
Why don't you want to go home?
I'm 32, not 22, and it's not that old, but if you're going to make a massive change in your life, you've got to do it.
Staying in this competition hangs on this one dish.
Yeah.
This one dish and this moment.
Yeah.
How did you make the toffee?
On a piece of foil with a brulee torch.
You're kidding me. That's so wrong.
It's pretty right, though.
In flavour, it's so right. It's bitter, it's
really sharp.
Sharp.
My toffee's glorious.
You know you haven't done your best work.
Oh, yeah.
You just got to hope that your sugar work, that your crazy out there way of making a caramel succeeded.
I'm hoping 30 seconds with a blowtorch is what's going to stand in between me and the door.
Andrew, do you think you've done enough to stay?
I hope my ganache, which is looking nice and glossy and shiny, I hope that gets me through. Yeah, way too runny.
Jeez. You're relying heavily on that ganache, aren't you?
I am.
Kumar, you got there in the end?
I did, yes.
Happy with what you put up?
Not entirely. I'm really not happy. The toffee had set, and it had set rock hard.
Four elements, none of which for me are good enough, but surprisingly a dish when it comes together that works quite well thanks to the freshness of the raspberries. If you do get through today, you need to be hitting the dessert books quite hard because this is a wake-up call for you.
I am really nervous waiting for the judges because it was my first elimination challenge.
Now, I came over to your station midway through the challenge. Tell me what happened.
I had put on the ganache before the toffee had finished colouring.
So you were multitasking.
I was multitasking.
Yeah, this gives us a problem.
Now, I came over to your station midway through the challenge. Tell me what happened.
I had put on the ganache before the toffee had finished colouring.
So you were multitasking.
I was multitasking.
Yeah, this gives us a problem. In order to be fair to every contestant who has completed each stage before moving on to the next, we need to look at what you've done before you did that. You had completed your sponge. You had completed your custard. So we can look at those two elements. But I think it's unfair for us to look at both your ganache and your toffee.
When I hear that Cleo can only be judged on the sponge and the custard, I feel devastated for her.
That means that your custard or your sponge has to be the best in the room for you to remain in the competition.
That's fine. Yeah.
You were worried about your custard. I wouldn't be. But the sponge? Today was about saving 9 of you, but in a few minutes, 1 of you will be gone. If you hear your name, please step forward. Kuma. Peter. Cleo. Sun. You are so close. So close. You should be in this bottom. For some miracle, you're not, because you produced the best caramel of the day. It was delicious. I've never, ever seen anyone make caramel like that before in the history of my cooking career. The other elements in your dish were absolutely disastrous.
Yeah.
But your toffee, your caramel, was glorious.
A moment of desperation with blowtorch and a piece of alfoil has saved me.
Peter, Kumar, Cleo, let's recap while you're standing here. Kumar, none of your individual elements really worked. But put together, it was more than the sum of its parts. Peter, your sponge was too soft and sticky. Presentation, not your strong point here. Your fudgy caramel had its attractions. Cleo, because you had 2 processes going at once, you agreed that we would only taste 2 elements. Your sponge wasn't the best, but your custard was smooth and had a good vanilla flavour.
3 of you stand before us with big MasterChef dreams. But unfortunately, I can only save 2 of you. The person that's cooked their last dish in the MasterChef kitchen is... Cleo. Peter, Kuma, you're safe. Cleo, you had to finish your toffee and start your ganache again. But when you finished your toffee, you went back to the ganache that you had already started.
I just feel like I've let myself down, not just, you know, I didn't follow the instructions correctly, I didn't understand it correctly, so I'm just disappointed with myself more than anything.
I do think it's fair that the judges made the decision not to taste those 2 elements. If I can't listen to instructions, then I really need to wear the consequences of that.
Peter, Anything to say to Cleo?
Yeah, I have. Anytime we've speculated on who was going to make it to like top 5, Cleo has always been absolutely the top of the pack. And she's presented so many beautiful dishes, and I'm just really shocked. I'm so shocked today.
Danny?
Cleo and I are such good friends in the house, and I just can't believe that she's gone because she's such an amazing cook and she's made some of the best dishes in this competition, and she deserves to be here.
I think there's not one person there who's not devastated. Not only have I lost someone I really admire in the house, I think every single person in this competition will feel the loss of Cleo.
Thanks, guys. Please say goodbye to everyone in the house, OK? I'll miss you all.
I'm definitely proud that I had the courage to actually come into the competition. I think I stayed true to myself with what I cooked. There were some times where I would have liked to have done a little bit better, but overall I'm happy with what I've achieved here. A year ago when Mum passed away, I came into MasterChef for her as well as for me, but I know she'd be really proud.
The mood back at the house is really weird. We're all really nervous to see who comes home. I think things are going to be just really different after this.
As the blue team walk into the kitchen, I can just see faces of devastation, and I realise it's Cleo that's not there.
Cleo got the sequencing wrong. She needed to have completed her toffee before she started the next stage. And so Cleo went home.
I think today reality hit. Not only do we have to cook well, not only do we have to strive to be at the top, but you have to do it correctly.
Most people that I know will be disappointed that I'm out of the competition. However, I'm sure they'll all be happy to see me, especially my dogs. I'm definitely proud with what I've achieved. I'm happy with, most of the dishes I put up. I really would love to follow a dream in food, and I know that eventually I will end up doing what I want to do, and that is, follow my food dream.
Tomorrow night on MasterChef Australia.
Welcome to your masterclass.
Gary slow cooks an Italian classic.
So this is my one-pot winter special.
We start from one end.
George wraps up a French delight.
My snapper on papillon.
And there's a very special treat for dessert.
The irresistible Donna Hay making a classic baked cheesecake.
Then, on Sunday night,
You are standing in the pit of the Sunrise Dam mine.
the toughest challenge ever
It's over 1,300 meals.
Mate.
kicks off a huge week in Western Australia.
From the mine to the vines.
Welcome to Bustleton Jetty. We're 2 k's out to sea.
It's going to be incredible.